Good afternoon, guys. Hope everything's going well. Hope the first lecture went well. Welcome to my screen recording software again. So let's get out of that and let's get to the lecture. Don't want to take too much time. I know the last one was 20 minutes. This one will not be 20 minutes, I promise. At the very end, I'm going to clean up some details regarding the rest of this week and next week. But going forward, we're just going to talk about the second part of the social wellness chapter. Talking about kind of the family matters idea and how social wellness plays a key part in our relationship with not only our family, like our mom and dad and sisters and brothers, but also your spouse, your future spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your friends, and how we act and how we plan our lives affect other people. So first thing is family. This is kind of like a cliche description of what a family is. Basically, the basic unit of society. What is a family? It's the basic unit of society. A group of people related to one another or unified by a common purpose. That's it, really. And then any of various society social units differ from, but regarded as equivalent to the traditional family. And so right here I have a list of what family may include, and family may include the people that live under your roof. So that is your family, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. People scattered around the world, whether it's in the next town, in the next neighborhood over to you, or in another country, they're your family. And it could be friends you share your life with. I know my friends that I have here are part of my family. And the people that you care deeply about. So family is not just like blood related or related by marriage or whatever it is, or adopted, or it's not just that. I mean, yes, it is those things, but it's so much more than just that. And we're going to dive into kind of social relationships with those people. And modeling, not the stuff that were magazines or TV, but modeling behavior is what we're talking about. So to model, to serve as a pattern. So what we do and how we act, how we act to characterize or exemplify an ideal or an idea of how we're acting, to teach others by letting them observe our behavior. Now, with that, we're not necessarily choosing to let them observe our behavior. You're not saying, watch how I'm act, and you need to act this way. It's the modeling is the way we're acting is what they're observing. They're observing our behavior. So we're modeling regardless if we want to or not when it comes to our behavior. So our friends, our little sisters, our little brothers, our older sisters and older brothers are our parents too. We're modeling our behavior and we're teaching them by their observations of us. Families model behavior to one another. And this is how we learn our isms, we'll call it, from our family. From the time we're born, they're learning their behaviors from their parents. One of the things I use when I teach this modeling idea, and I teach in my other classes as well, is how many of you put ketchup on your eggs? And I can't see any of your hands raised, but about half the people, or to a third of the people in a traditional class, raise their hand. And the other half, or the other 2/3, think it's gross. But I grew up that way, and I didn't develop that. The taste of ketchup on my eggs. I was taught that. My parents did it. They modeled that behavior, and I adopted. Now I love ketchup on my eggs, and I'm venturing out to put salsa on your eggs. It's fantastic. It's like an omelet without the omelet part. Super easy. But that's just a modeling behavior, kind of a simple one that my parents told me and taught me that I do and I use. We begin to develop who we are by learning the behaviors of those who are examples to us. So in this case, my parents were an example to me. They put ketchup on their eggs. So I did that. Or it's an older brother, an older sister, or an upperclassman, or a friend that you really admire. We develop by learning their behaviors. We want to mimic what they're doing. Moving on to family values. A lot of times, though it's not given into modeling aspects of family dynamics, we plan our work, our school, our personal lives, but we often forget to plan our family lives. And this is becoming more and more apparent with, again, the situation we're in with this social isolation or social quarantine or whatever you want to call it, our family lives aren't planned. And I'm seeing that more with my wife as we plan going on walks, or we plan if and when we need to go to the grocery store to get more stuff. We have to plan this stuff. We have to plan our interaction times, what we're going to do, because we have to. Before, it was you come home from work, we'd hang out, we'd eat together, and then we'd finish our day off. But now it's done. It's different. We have to plan it more, and so we need to, aside from this, we need to keep planning. We need to keep planning our social lives with our families. We need to set goals for our family and develop values that we will live by within our families. We need to develop what we're going to do throughout this. So just like we develop team goals for sports, we do that. We need to have family goals. And just as we have work goals, we need to have family ones. And right now my wife and I are working on paying off our school debt. So that's a goal of ours. We want to get a house eventually. So we're working on saving up a down payment. We're working on those family goals of what we want. And it's not just social. It's not just the environmental stuff that we're working on. It's also the social stuff as well. Some beginning positive guidelines for family modeling. So this is just a kind of a cliche thing that we want to talk about. Being committed to the family. That you're not just there to pass time, to put in your 18 years, then you're off to college. That's not what we're talking about. It's being committed to the family, spending time with them, real bonding time, and we are getting more real bonding time than we could probably ever want or imagine right now. You thought you moved away from your family, but now we're back at it. So it's crazy how the life is working out right now. Develop family communication, how we communicate. Passive-aggressive nubs that you and I both left as roommates in college and are still leaving, probably not the best way to communicate. Expressing appreciation for family members. This is tough. To just say, I appreciate you, and it's kind of cliche and awkward, but you do it, and you understand a little bit more what it's about. Developing a spiritual commitment, going to church, and it's not just looking at them, we're going to go to church this week. No, we're going to go. We're going to go to Bible study. We're going to do whatever we need to do to get done what we need to get done. And then strive to solve problems in a crisis situation. Ironic. We're in this crisis situation. How do we solve this problem of being socially isolated? We go on walks. I've seen more people walking than I've ever seen in my life before. But how are we solving this problem of this family issue, this isolation that we're in right now? In marriage, and I don't believe any of you in the class are married right now, but I am newly married, still will call it, just under 2 years. So I have a little bit of advice for this, but not a ton. But marriage was established by God. It's one of the first things that we talk about in the Bible. In Genesis 2:24, for this reason a man will leave his father and mother and will be united with his wife, and they will become one flesh. So that's not saying that this is taken out of Bible context, and where we're not like the guy can't be with his mom and dad anymore, and he has to go live with his new wife. That's not what it's saying, but it is saying that we will, as men and as women, we will depart our family and we'll create a new one. That's what marriage is. The institution of marriage is one of the most important relationships in life. Looking at wellness through the marriage lens can help you evaluate your current and future relationships. Do I see myself marrying this person? Or am I wasting my time or theirs? Or what's our end game with relationships with boyfriends and girlfriends? What's our end game with it? Benefits of a healthy marriage. There's lots of benefits of a healthy marriage. They promote healthy lifestyle choices. My wife and I, we choose to eat relatively healthy. It's becoming harder now because we're not able to go to the store as often, but we're less likely to abuse drugs because you're being held accountable. Less likely to engage in risky behavior, not wearing seatbelts. I know it's an ironic one. And more likely to engage in healthy behavior. And a funny kind of anecdote with this is every time I leave the house or go on a track trip or something, my wife says, drive carefully. And I know that's, your parents said that too, but it's true. I mean, they mean it, and we mean it. We want to be safe because it's not you anymore. You have to be safe. You have to be accountable for your significant other. It provides happiness and your emotional support, spiritual support, and we've talked about both those things prior to this. And the big one is less poverty. You have two incomes. In the census of 2017, by the way, it's 2020. You should do the census, the every 10-year one. So do that. But in 2017, the generated census, it's called, there was only 4.9% of married couples were in poverty. In single moms, 25.7, and single dads is 12.4. So significantly less when it comes to being married. Better physical health just lowers blood pressure. You have someone to rely on. You have an accountability partner. Marriage reinforcement techniques. These are techniques to preserve intimacy and warmth in your relationship. Provide positive reinforcement. You want to submit to each other, and the word submit it's been misused in the last probably 200-300 years. It's not like I do what they tell me to now. I'm submitting who I am to them, and we are now one relationship, not one person. But it is not a submissive relationship. It's a collective relationship. I am submitting myself to my wife. I'm submitting myself to my husband because that's how healthy relationships are built. We need to praise spouse and show appreciation and admiration. It's easy to get into just this is what happens, this is what happens, this is what happens, and we just move about our lives. But we need to continually to praise them for, and this isn't just spouse and marriage life too. It's relationships. We need to praise the people we're in relationships with. Give them that affection that they need. Spare criticism for important issues. Saying you chew too loud at dinner time is not an important issue. I mean, it could be addressed eventually, but it's not something that you want to point out every single tiny little detail. Practice kindness. We want to continually to practice that idea of being kind. Is what I'm about to say being kind, helpful, or beneficial? And if it's not, then we don't need to say it. Don't take your spouse for granted. And oftentimes I have the opportunity to travel for track meets, and I'm gone for a week. We just had the opportunity to go to nationals for the track team, and I was gone for a week from my wife. And not that I take her for granted, but I noticed that I miss her when she's gone, and she's my emotional support. She's my outlet when I am frustrated or when I need to be picked up. She's there for me, and I don't have that when I'm not with her. And the last one, not the last one, but the last one on this list is do not categorize your spouse or your relationship for at all. And I read an article not too long ago about, and this is what it was titled. It says, "I do not help out my wife." It was written by a male, and it was said, "I do not help my wife." So of course I clicked on it, and it was actually a great article. And what it said was, I don't help out my wife. I have to help out our marriage. I don't help out my wife do laundry. I don't help out my wife do dishes or cook meals. I don't help her out. It's a part of our relationship. I have to. I dirtied half the clothes, so I have to do laundry. I dirtied half the dishes, so I have to do the dishes. I'm not helping her out. I am doing what I'm being asked to do. I'm not categorizing her, or I'm not categorizing him to do something that they've always done. I'm not categorizing them into what it should be. It's what the new and what we're doing. Work to solve problems within a marriage. You want to explain your feelings. Explain what you're feeling, not just that you're feeling it. I'm feeling upset. Explain what upset is. Recognize when an argument is getting out of control. Do not bring up difficult subjects when angry. Set a time to revisit intense issues. It's not just like we're angry, so we need to fight this out. No. There needs to be a time when we're calmed down and we can have normal conversation. Start with the positive, kind of that sandwich effect. I'm really happy that you had the opportunity to talk to me, but this is my issue that I want to bring up. And listen for areas of agreement. I want to listen to where we're agreeing, not just find where we're not agreeing. make sure that we're recording. I'm always panicked that, get out of here. No, we are. Good. I'm always panicked that I'm not recording, then it'd be all a waste for nothing. Okay. Awesome. Positive modeling behaviors. So positive modeling behaviors in a marriage. So these are specifically to marriage, and often in life include positive affirmation. We've heard all of these before. We've heard all of the I need this in my life. So this is going to lay it out a little bit better. But positive affirmation, this provides a statement of encouragement and support. We need to affirm the people that we interact with and have relationships with. Build character. Build integrity and internal values, and work less about external appearances. It's more about what's inside and how I view myself as a person, and not just external issues. Make time for listening. The cliche, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Yes, I mean, it rings true, but make time to listen and have meaningful conversations. Again, listening is just not talking. It's listening and engaging. Value differences. And yes, this is kind of a cliche thing. Rather than trying to change it, we need to value them rather than trying to change it. By a spouse or a loved one, the difference is it is a unique gift from God that person has, and it depends what that difference is, but we need to embrace the differences that we have with each other. We need to embrace them and make sure that they are we're not being criticized by them. Resolve conflict. Focus on facts, remove emotions, and be willing to forgive. We don't want to sit there and hold on to the conflict. We don't sit there and make sure that it's something that we fight for. Then provide meaningful touches. Hugs provide a sense of care and unconditional love. For me, I don't necessarily like to be touched. It's not like, handshakes are great and high fives are fine. But it's just something that isn't for the public for me. Now with my wife, I love being hugged by my wife. I love holding her and everything. So that is my meaningful touch to her. It means so much when she puts her hand on my back. It means a lot because that is that meaningful touch, because it is so important to me. Meeting children's needs. Is this one? Yes. So I'm going to pull all these up. Okay. These are all really important. The C's of children's needs. So you have compassion, counsel, correction, confidence, celebration, challenges, and consistency. So all those are important. So I'd encourage you to take a picture of this slide. It is an important slide. Remember, red's important. But the 3 that I want to pull out personally is correction. That first one, that third one down there, is providing discipline to help the child see right from wrong. Remember, correction is to help the child learn. I don't have any children, but I've been involved in having little siblings that are significantly younger than me, and then I coach for a living. So not that my athletes are children, but correction is to learn. Discipline is to learn. So it's not just screaming and yelling. It's to help them learn. So there's a time and a place to get upset and mad, yes, but it needs to be for the idea of learning. There needs to be learning happening. Next one I want to touch about is celebration. Recognize important milestones in a child's life. Foster fun and enjoyment in life, obviously. Again, I don't have any children, but I'm going to relate this back to my coaching idea. Again, not that you guys are children. But recognize milestones. So I have athletes that their goals for competing at nationals are much bigger than just making nationals. They want to win or they want to be an All-American, but I don't want to forget about the idea that they qualified. They hit that qualifying mark. That's an important milestone. Or they won the conference meet. That's an important milestone. We want to recognize things that are important to the child's life and to the athlete's life. Last one I want to touch on is consistency. Demonstrate the correlation between word and deed. I want to be consistent with what I'm doing. I want to be consistent with how I'm talking with them. I want to be consistent with how I'm interacting with them. You can't be up here and then down here, and we can't flop throughout. So one thing I pride myself is that I am fairly consistent when it comes to my moods. I have my highs and I have my lows, but I stay consistent, and I'm able to be trusted better between my athletes and my coworkers and colleagues that way. We want to be consistent in relationships, and not just with parenting. We want to be consistent all the way through. Never alone. You're never alone. Our identity does not come from our spouse or being married. Yes, if you're married or in a relationship, you're not alone, but our identity should always come from Christ. That's why we're here. All people should continue to develop their family relationships and should seek out to have meaningful relationships with those that have come in contact with. We always want to make sure that we are not isolating ourselves. Even though some of us are introverts, we want to make sure that we're not isolating ourselves and being positive and having a good relationship with them. 2 more slides and that's it. Kind of moving on to the next topic that we're going to talk about on Monday when I post the lecture, is that your environmental activity, which is due Friday by 10 p.m. But you're going to go to this link. I'm going to post this link down below in the description. But and complete an online footprint or the quiz. Some of you completed it. If it was wrong, you can redo it. But go into Canvas and complete the environmental assessment. This link, so the link was wrong before. This link is the correct link. So go to this link and complete the survey. This is my results right here. These are my results. I just took it today. And it's kind of unique and asks you some questions like, where do you live? How much meat do you eat? How much do you travel? Stuff like that. And it kind of gets you down to like, if everyone on Earth lived like you, we would need, and mine is 2.4 Earths. So that is a lot. And then if everyone on Earth lived like me, we would run out of Earth resources by May 28th. So like literally 2 months from now. But unfortunately, this is common, and the average American lives with 5 Earths to them. So complete the assignment, see what it does for you, and then that's due Friday, again, Friday at 10 p.m. Next class, again, physical activity logs are due March 27th. That's Friday, 10 p.m. Your environmental assessment is due March 27th as well at 10 p.m. The next exam, I talked about this on Monday. When is the next exam? It will take place on Canvas between April 1st at 2 p.m. It will open, and it will close April 3rd at 10 p.m. We will not reopen it if you miss it. I will send out reminders on Wednesday. April 1st is next Wednesday. I will send out reminders about it, but you got to take it. You got to take it. With the exam, you get 1 chance to take it, and you get 50 minutes. It's 50 minutes per every question. So all 50 questions you have to complete within 50 minutes. So if you want to do 1 question in 49 minutes and 49 questions in 1 minute, go for it. But you have 50 minutes to complete it, and you only get 1 chance. If anyone has any issues with that, let me know. As of now, this is the end. So I will see you guys on Monday. I will be posting this on YouTube. Obviously, that's where you're watching. Reminder on Monday that we will have another lecture, and then next week, Wednesday through Friday, the exam is due. Have a good one, guys.